Okay, so let's start with the big picture. When you're comparing self-publishing to being published with a publishing company, there are three main factors that you want to weigh. One is the cost, also the timeline, and how much control you'll have over the finished product. So let's look at a comparison side by side and think about those factors. So with self-publishing, you're looking at the fastest timeline. You can easily have a book published within a span of months. You will pay up front, but you will keep all the profits and you will have full creative freedom. Another thing to note is that you will have to handle all of the marketing and distribution on your own. With traditional publishing, you're looking at a longer timeline. It can even span years. Publishers traditionally covered the cost of printing books, but these days they may or may not. Many publishers might ask you to contribute a portion of the cost, or they might offer you a deal where you put up some money and they give you some free copies of the books. Different publishers have different arrangements with their authors, so you will need to look into that. When it comes to control, you'll have shared or limited creative control over what the final product looks like. And while publishers handle some of the marketing for you, it doesn't mean you're off the hook. You'll still have plenty to do. Maybe you're okay with the slower timelines if it means you don't have to manage production. And of course, if you work with an established publisher, you automatically have trust and recognition that comes with their name being printed on your book, which lends credibility to your work. Or maybe you'd rather just pay up front, keep your vision intact. There's really no right or wrong answer here. It's down to what you want to do with your book. Now let's talk about a traditional publisher's timeline. We asked 3 photographers, friends of Street Photography magazine, about their different experiences working with publishers. They've all published multiple books through publishers. Big surprise, their answers on what timelines look like varied a lot. The first photographer we spoke to said that it takes at least 6 months to do a book well. He helped us understand the many steps that you'll need to go through. This starts with logging and organizing all the submitted materials, proofreading, designing the book, back and forth between the designer and the photographer, booking the printer, printing, binding, which can be at a separate facility, shipping to warehouses, distributing to bookstores, and that's without factoring in store orders, shipping lead times, or any promotional events or materials that need to be planned or made. This photographer said that's not even including pitching the book, which can take weeks or even years before you find a publisher who accepts your work, who you think is a good fit for your work, and then you get into the production stage. So this photographer said at least 6 months. That's been on the very fast end for him, but usually longer. A second photographer we talked to said around a year. He mentioned that some smaller publishers might be able to have a faster turnaround, but a lot of things depend on how the publisher works. One factor that he mentioned is the design process. He said the design phase can fill whatever time you give it or whatever time the publisher allots for it. So if you have a week, you might be able to rush and cram and get your book designed in a week. If you have a year, you can take advantage of that entire year to work on the design and get feedback from different people. And he said probably you'll still want more time after that. So design phase can be a factor as well. Another photographer we spoke to worked with a very small independent publisher. She and her partner designed the book and the layout together, and her book was designed and printed within a 6-month period. That same photographer had another experience with a little bit larger publisher who contacted her looking to publish her work. They had several back and forth emails and interactions. Well, things went quiet after that. About 4 years later, the publisher got in contact again in November, and by April, the book was released. So sometimes the initial interaction with a publisher won't lead to anything immediately, but could years down the road. So, what can you expect as far as timeline when it comes to working with a traditional publisher? It can really vary a lot. The photographers we spoke to agreed that it will take at least 6 months, more likely around a year, And in some cases, it could take 2 or 3 or more years to see your book published. Okay, Bob, so there's a third route we should talk about, and that is vanity presses. What should photographers know about vanity presses? What are they? Are they worth looking into?
Yeah, it depends on the person. With Vanity Press, they handle basically all the aspects of the publishing processing, editing, design, and even marketing. And the author may have limited input. It's like dealing with the traditional publisher, only you don't have to be accepted because you're paying the freight for the whole thing. And some of these people are quite good. The thing is, though, they're listed as the publisher of record and not you. So some of the pros is it can be useful to somebody who has the money and just doesn't want to spend the time with the learning curve of publishing themselves. And they've probably been turned down by traditional publishers as well. And they know they still have to get their book published. Some of the cons, it can be very high priced. You're paying basically a consulting fee plus all the printing and design costs, but you still have limited control because you've got these other people doing the work for you, and they potentially may have low royalties as well.
For some photographers, this is the way to go. For others, it won't be. Again, this is going to come down to your personal choice. We would add a word of caution, though. If you are approached by a vanity press who is using aggressive sales tactics on you, be careful. There are scams out there just like with any endeavor. So just do your homework before you go ahead and agree to pay a vanity press to produce your work.
Yeah. And some of the people don't even call themselves a vanity press, but if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
One more thing that's probably worth noting is that if you're leaning towards a vanity press because you feel like you don't have the skills you need to design and market and distribute your book, those are skills that can be learned. So if you're willing to put in the time and effort to learn how to do them, you may not necessarily need to go with a vanity press. If Bob and I could learn to do this on our own, you can too.
That's right. If we can do it, anybody can. Well, maybe I should just say that about myself, but hey, it's a lot of fun to learn. We had a wonderful time. Most of the time.
Most of the time. And at the end of the day, when you hold your finished product in your hands, you really feel proud of it because you know everything that went into it.
It feels really good. You know something? I was interviewed for another podcast not long ago, and the guy's a great interviewer. Out of the blue, he says to me, "What are you most proud of?" And I'm thinking of everything. I'm thinking of my kids. I'm thinking of getting my black belt, things like that. But afterwards, I realized it's publishing this book and having our names on it. It's really a good feeling.
All right. So now we want to show you a little more in depth what the timelines may look like when you self-publish. We'll show you how our experience went with self-publishing, where the streets lead. From coming up with the concept to having a print-ready file made took us about 10 months. Now, we were starting from scratch. We knew literally nothing about publishing, nothing about book design. So we were starting from zero. It took us about 10 months to get there, making a lot of mistakes and errors along the way. From having that file ready to printing and fulfilling was about 2 months. So for us, knowing nothing, it took us just over 1 year. With this book, we mainly chose to self-publish because we were kind of on a tight timeline. We had done a call for entries and we were working with other photographers' photos. So we didn't want to have them waiting 2 or 3 years to see this book in print after having submitted their photos. Of course, that also meant we had to fund it, design it, promote it, handle all of the logistics, all the aspects of self-publishing that we're going to cover later in this course.
Yeah. And also, when you're talking 10 months, that's 10 months from when we received the photo submissions. So that took a little while, too. Of course, if you're publishing your own work, you don't have to worry about that.
If you're thinking about going the traditional route, then you'll need to know how to pitch your book. And one big part of doing that is to write a book proposal. And this is a document that's going to outline what the concept of your book is, who the audience might be, why now, why you. And honestly, even though we didn't end up working with a traditional publisher, creating that book proposal was invaluable for us.
Yeah, it was. Once we had that down in writing, we continued to refer back to it all the time to really guide us as to what to do next. And we actually stumbled on it by accident. Ashley had gotten advice from another photographer to do that. At the time, we didn't realize that we were creating a plan and a framework for the entire project. Like you said, we didn't know anything when we started. And this was a huge help. And if you skip this step, you're making a big mistake.
Yeah. So some things that you would include in a book proposal include your title, subtitle, a short description of the book, an author bio. You'd also want to talk about who your target audience is. You're going to want to have sample images, sample spreads. You'll want to think about the marketing potential, comparable book titles, what your vision for production of the book is, as in what kind of cover do you imagine? What kind of shape will the book be? What will the end pages look like? Thinking about all of these details ahead of time really helps you get clear on what you're doing with the book. This also helped us immensely after we had created the book to market it. We already were clear on who our audience was, why they would appreciate the book. And a lot of the copy from our book proposal, we were able to take straight from there with very few edits and use on our sales page and use in social media and many other places. So truly, even if you don't plan on working with a traditional book publisher, we would highly recommend creating a book proposal, even if it's just for your own reference.
Yeah, I even used it when I had to get the ISBN. The ISBN form asks lots of questions, and most of them were in that document.
Another thing that's good to note about writing a book proposal is that you don't want to make it about yourself. It needs to be about your book. And this is so helpful because when you're just thinking about who you are and why you like these photos, that's kind of a separate matter. This helps you drill down to how are you going to sell the book? Who is going to buy it and why? And by writing a book proposal, you may even learn things about your project and about yourself that can determine what route you want to take as far as publishing goes, or if you need to rethink your project. So definitely a great step to take.
Yeah, because it's not easy. You get these questions and you go, oh, I never thought about that. So you have to go back and think it through and discuss it. And that's hard, it's brain-hurting work. But it's time very well spent.
Definitely.
Now it's time for you to get started. And every path has lots of trade-offs. And what you have in mind now is going to change over time. It absolutely will. But the best way to start is to write a book proposal. Even if you're planning to self-publish, write that book proposal as if you're trying to sell it to Penguin Press. We're going to provide you with a template. There'll be a link below the video where you can download this template. So take that and get started. And that will actually help you decide on your path, what's right for you and why.
And hopefully after watching this video, you have a clearer picture of which publishing path feels right for you, for your project, maybe even which one doesn't feel right. And if you've decided that you're going to try self-publishing, we're really excited for you.
You're beginning a very interesting and often rewarding journey. So just go for it and don't look back, because you'll be happy you did.
When we started with Where the Streets Lead, we had to navigate every step without really knowing anything. Concept, design and layout, printing materials, marketing, distribution. There's a lot to it. And we learned a lot the hard way, but we hope that you can learn from our mistakes, which is why we've created this course on self-publishing. We hope that all the lessons we can share with you will streamline the process for you and make it that much more enjoyable to self-publish your book.